Real-time Sovryn is go.
Woo, the man of tomorrow, Savzu, the rated R radio star, Dr. Brian Sovryn here, ready to record anytime, anywhere, get in a real-time Sovryn. And today, which is September 5th? September 6th? Oh, it's the 6th. September 6th, got an update on what's been going on with Telegram. Now, coming to you live also, did I say Portsmouth, New Hampshire? That's where I'm at. Ice Planet Zero, baby. Anyway, in one sense, I got proven right on something. In another, well, I want to bring this up. So actually, Second Agora of the Agora podcast, which everybody should be listening to, he messaged me with an interesting point that, and I won't go into all the details here, okay, but he messaged me with an interesting point that apparently there's a theory. The reason that Pavel Durov got arrested and got some squeeze from, or got detained, we want to be clear on terms here, though Pavel Durov certainly has interesting ways in which he put the whole situation, but that it may have to do with this somewhat of a French political coup of sorts going on with the different parties there. And just like Sex said, I'll say the same, like I don't have much understanding of French politics, let alone the French. So anyway, Pavel Durov finally came out today on his own Telegram channel and, made somewhat of an official statement and had announcements about changes being made to Telegram, the app. And a couple of these are really worth talking about. Now, the first thing to talk about is he said that in August, when he was detained, that for 4 days he was interviewed. I believe he might have used the word French authorities, whatever. Anyway, but that he was interviewed. So that's how he puts it. Not necessarily that he was arrested, detained. I mean, if you're forced to sit down and have an interview with the French authorities, I suppose detained is still a word that fits for that. So I want to be careful on terms, but that seems to be the situation. But then he announced, so that's all interesting. And of course he talked about, defended himself and the interactions with the EU, how Telegram is always available to answer any questions, you have plenty of ways to reach them, blah, 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 all the defensive stuff. And of course, the official claim to come out of the French government was basically that Telegram was not responding to requests from the French government. The reality of that, whatever, okay? That's not really what's important. What's actually important here, I would chalk down to the two changed features from this. And the two changed features go like this. One is and this is where, when I said earlier, I was right. One of the features is the people nearby feature, which I had said, when I talked about it years ago when it got announced. I mean, this got announced, I don't know, 2014, 2015, something like that. I had said, oh, wow, what a neat little feature to have, where it allowed you, if you had Telegram open and other people had Telegram open, you could run into each other. But then, years later, or sometime later, I'm like, oh, this whole feature is for drug deals and sex work, and not saying that I'm against either, but you get my point. Sorry, Portsmouth, sometimes you gotta wonder what's around here. Anyway, but that was an absolutely, in the conventional mindset, for the average person, was an absolutely nefarious feature. And even though in the official post from Pavel Durov, he said that actually only takes up about only about 0.01% of Telegram users actually use that feature, that was clearly one of the features that the French government must have had an issue with. And I bet they did. Like I said, from a conventional standpoint, of course, that feature absolutely, especially if it's only 0.01% out of, however many hundreds of millions of users use Telegram, it was probably being used for what are conventionally considered nefarious purposes. Now, like I said, conventionally, I'm an anarchist, so whatever. I'm not one for laws in any shape or form. And your body, you do what you want. So I'm not surprised at all that got shut down. And that's clearly like these feature drops, not additions, but drops, removal of features, which is a rare thing for Telegram. If I can even think of whenever they've removed a feature over the years. But this feature removal, is clearly a response to the situation, the interview, the 4-day interview that Pavel Durov went through. And what they're going to do now is it's going to be a business share, like a business nearby feature, and it has to be a legitimately registered business. Now, the odd thing is I could see where this would just be similarly conventionally abused, just as, people nearby was. You just have to come up with some BS business name and have it look official on Telegram, and how hard could that be? It's probably something you could even just purchase, little check mark, Elon Musk style, right? Anyway, so I don't think that necessarily does anything. I'm sure somehow it's just like the minimal amount to do to assuage the allegations against Telegram and Pavel Durov. The other feature is that Telegraph, which actually a lot of people don't know exists and they don't really use, but Telegraph, which is a more or less anonymous blogging platform where you can get like a set link, and it's not part of Telegram proper, like it's not a part of the app. You just go to .ph, right? gra.ph. And I've used this before. It's very handy. And it's just like a one-time, as long as you save the link, and whatever, you can still edit it and blah, blah, blah. It's very useful. Anyway, this blogging platform, they've removed, as I understand it, they've removed the ability to add new media, like to upload things to it, and that apparently was being abused, which also I'm sure it has been. Now, to my mind, in reality, the usefulness of something like Telegraph for being able to communicate with people in a long-form format, in a more anonymous way, has really become somewhat superfluous ever since Proton Drive now has Proton Docs built into it, which allows for end-to-end encrypted docs that can be shared. That's really the way that I would do that. And that's been something needed for a very long time, right? And you could say, well, but, iCloud has had encrypted pages, encrypted documents through the Pages app for, over a year now, for a while now, thanks to advanced data protection. Yes, but once you start, allowing for sharing via the web or whatever of anything on iCloud under advanced data protection, it loses the best parts of advanced data protection. So that's not worthwhile. It's where with Proton Drive, that end-to-end encryption is still pretty much valid. And part of that has to do with that it's like all cloud-based, right? But anyway, that's a separate conversation. So the squeeze was put on. Telegram clearly caved and actually removed features. Now, did they add in a backdoor or something along these lines? Again, we'll never really know. We're not going to know. And the backdoor would be on the server side. And on the server side, you almost never really know what's going on. And this is true for, a lot of apps. I know a lot of people have been saying to me, Stallion, like I'm used to reaching you out on Telegram. Do you have Signal now, though? I'd really feel much better if I reached out to you on Signal. Look, Signal's not that much better, okay? Is Signal's encryption better? Oh, yeah, sure. The Signal protocol, or what used to be the Axolotl protocol, is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. There's a reason so many different apps use it. It's great. But, that said, even though it's completely open source, a lot of times, like the server code and the open source code itself, we will go sometimes months, maybe even longer, where the Signal Foundation won't upload the code to GitHub to be reviewed. So basically, with Signal, there are times where it could be 6 to 8 months, a year, who knows, where you can't verify the code. And that app's been updated, 20 times in that time frame. So can you trust that more than Telegram? No. I see no reason why you would be able to. So they're not that much better off. Okay, you have to have real time. If an app is open source, you have to have real time or near real time updates of that code. And if it uses servers, of the server code and app code on GitHub or whatever repository, to be able to review it, to know that you're using something that is safe. And if they don't make that code available for especially extended periods of time, like months at a time, then it doesn't matter if it's open source. It might as well be closed source if you can't actually look at the code. Okay, so my point is, just don't, and we talked about this the last time I talked about Telegram on real-time Sovryn. Like, just assume somehow that what you're doing when you're using most of these apps, that people can see it, that it's not encrypted. Always assume that. And that's to say nothing of what the operating system itself could do, right? Whether it's iOS, Android, the operating system has carte blanche, basically carte blanche access to what's, to almost everything you're doing on your phone. So keep that in mind as well. I guess the question becomes, will the Telegram app on Android, as in the independent APK that you can download from telegram.org, will that be losing the features as well? As far as we know, yes. I haven't seen that yet. This just got announced today. But as far as we know, yes. It's a little windy out here. Hopefully that's not picking up in the AirPods. But we'll see. So, regardless, I was right. Clearly, I'm not the only one who realized years ago that, this people nearby, like this, this is meant to do shady shit. This is not like some nice feature. Ooh, you can meet other people near. I mean, I even said it to people. I said it on Sovryn-tech years ago. I was like, what? Like, what is behind this feature? Like, because somebody else uses Telegram, you're going to want to talk to them? Like somehow they're, oh man, they must be so cool they use Telegram. I mean, give me a fucking break. When you have hundreds of millions of people, using Telegram, like, what are the chances that there's hundreds of millions of cool people on planet Earth? Give me a break. Maybe. But I don't think they all use Telegram. Anyway, that's that. And, the theory that please feel free to read up on this yourself. But the theory that somehow it has to do with some kind of, French political machinations, not like France versus Telegram, but like France versus itself, politically, the people nearby feature would allow for clandestine meetings, wouldn't it? So, it's an interesting theory. I suggest looking up about it more on your own. Maybe it's already been debunked. I haven't looked that deep into it, but it's something, that was put on my radar. And so, I thought I'd at least bring it up. Regardless, does this make Telegram any less useful? Not really, because I actually do believe that only 0.01% of people use these features. Telegraph may be a different story, but then I don't know anybody else that, I don't know anyone that even knows Telegraph exists besides me. I've used it tons of times, but I've just never met anybody that even bothers. So who knows? Anyway, that's it for this real-time Sovryn. Just wanted to give, a quick update on that. And like I said, we're well past the point where we say, when these kinds of things happen, it's like, oh, don't dare use that. Don't use it. I mean, it would have to be something so egregious to come out and say, oh, don't use that. We're just past that point because we've already lost the privacy war. Okay. That's just the reality. That doesn't mean you don't take steps. Like I always say, still, there's value in valuing your privacy and in taking actions to preserve it. But we've already lost the war at the same time. But like the old saying goes, an unwinnable battle isn't a lost battle. So keep that in mind. Think on that one. And I'll see all of you on the other side.